Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are tackling a question that has been buzzing around the gaming community. What's going on with the AAA gaming industry in 2025? It seems like every major release is crashing and burning, despite the hype, the budgets, and the big names behind them. So, why is this happening? And what does it mean for the future of gaming? Stick around as we break it all down. Before we dive in, let's level set. AAA games, those blockbuster titles from major studios, are the heavy hitters of the gaming world. We're talking massive budgets, cutting edge graphics, and marketing campaigns that rivals Hollywood movies. Think Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, or Grand Theft Auto. These are the games we expect to blow us away, but in 2025, they're falling flat. And we're going to figure out why. Let's start with some examples of recent flops, then dig into the reasons behind them, and finally talk about what this all means for the industry. To understand the problem, we need to look at some games that have stumbled out of the gate. These are titles that had everything going for them. Big studios, huge investments, and tons of anticipations, but still couldn't stick the landing. First up, Concord, developed by Firewalk Studios and published by PlayStation. This live service hero shooter was in the works for 8 years, with a budget north of $400 million. That's insane, but when it launched, it peaked at just 697 players on Steam. For a game with that kind of money behind it, that's a disaster. It shut down just weeks after release. Talk about a rough start.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Next, their Suicide Squad killed the Justice League from Rocksteady, the studio that gave us the Batman Arkham series. Fans were hyped for another single-player masterpiece, but instead, we got a live service looter shooter. It was a total shift in direction. Repetitive missions, awkward gunplay, and a genre Rocksteady wasn't known for. It left players confused and disappointed, and it tanked hard. And don't forget Star Wars Outlaw. Ubisoft had the Star Wars license, killer visuals, and a promising open world setup, but it leaned too hard on a tired formula, repetitive side quests, and a forgettable story. And it didn't bring anything new to the table. Even with a great sound design, it faded into the background of a pet gaming market. Now, these flops aren't isolated cases. They're a part of a trend. So what's driving this wave of AAA games failures? Let's break it down. First, development cycles are getting out of control. Some games take a decade or more to make. Look at Skull and Bones. Over 10 years in development. By the time it launched, the gaming landscape had shifted, and it felt like a relic. Long cycles means higher costs and a risk of missing the mark on what players want today. Second, design decisions that don't match player expectations. With Suicide Squad, Rocksteady ditched single-player storytelling for a live service model, a trend that a lot of studios are chasing. But it didn't fit their strengths or their audience. When you pivot away from what made you great, you are gambling big, and it doesn't always pay off. Too many AAA games feels like copy and paste jobs. Same old missions, same old mechanics. Players are tired of grinding through fetch quests or recycled combat. If it's not fun or fresh, why stick around? Technical problems. In 2025, there's no excuses for a big budget game to launch with bugs, crashes, or lag. Star Wars Outlaw had its share of glitches, and that killed the vibe for a lot of players. Polish matters, especially when you're charging $70 or more. Innovation is drying up. AAA studios, with their huge budgets, are scared to take risks. They lean on safe, proven formulas instead of trying something bold. but players can smell stagnation a mile away, and they're turning into indie games for creativity instead. And finally, expectations are insane. Massive marketing campaigns build these games up to be flawless. So when they're just good instead of perfect, the backlash is brutal. Hype is a double edged sword, and it's cutting deep in 2025. These failures aren't just bummers for the gamers, they're shaking up the entire industry. For one, the financial hit is massive. When a $400 million game like Conquer flops, studios lose big. That can mean layoffs, restructuring, or even closures. Look at Immortals of Avim. It was a solid game, but its high budget meant he had to sell millions to break even, and when it didn't, the studio took a hit. Meanwhile, indie games are still in the spotlight. Smaller teams with lower budget can experiment and deliver unique experiences. Games like Helldivers 2 are proof you don't need a fortune to make something players love. It's about smart design and fun gameplay. And let's not forget the developers. Crunch culture is still a thing, working insane hours to meet deadlines, and when a game bombs, they're often the one left jobless. The focus on AAA blockbusters is putting pressure on everyone, and it's not sustainable. Okay, it's not all doom and gloom. The AAA industry is in a rough spot, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. Some studios are still doing it right. Games like Elder Ring or God of War Ragnarok shows that AAA can thrive when it's done right. Great stories, tight gameplay, and a focus on quality. It's not about the budget, it's about the vision. Plus, indie success is pushing AAA to rethink their game plan. Players are voting with their wallets, supporting fresh ideas over bloated sequels. Maybe this is the wake-up call the industry needs. Less live service cash grabs, more passion projects. The gaming world is always bouncing back from tough times. I think 2025 struggles could spark a shift towards better, more creative AAA games, if studios are willing to listen. Alright, now let me know your take on the AAA gaming industry in 2025. Leave a like and comment, and subscribe for more. See you later.